cause, neither can it cure autism. However, we have seen instances where an improved diet leads to a better quality of life for persons or individuals who have autism.
Okay. The supplements do help.
They do help.
And they're important.
Yes, they are.
Okay. And are there risks and effects to these supplements?
Too much supplements, the most important thing I would want to first point out is that it should be done by a trained professional, the recommendation. Don't just decide because you had if my chances where individuals who have autism are very sensitive because they mostly it presents in having a problem with sensory.
In regards to all that, what are some of the myths that are out there now related to now nutrition, diet, and autism?
I think the biggest one that I would point out is that autism is a disease. Autism is not a disease. It's a neurodevelopmental condition. The best thing is when you're introducing a new food, is you introduce a new food that is similar in whatever sensitivity your child has. Caregivers and parents with children and individuals who have autism, I would want to encourage them, and I would want to encourage you and tell you, you're not alone. There are communities everywhere. You're not doing it by yourself. And if you need help, there are very many avenues that you can get the help. We also have government facilities like KISE where you can.
Hello beautiful people, and welcome to yet another amazing episode of Autism Lifestyle. If you're new here, my name is Brenda Kawira. I'm a special needs educator, and I've been getting a lot of insights on diet and autism. And today we are graced by a lovely lady who is going to be telling us more about nutrition, diet, and autism. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So without further ado, allow me to welcome her and allow her to introduce herself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My name is Gladys Thairo. I am a clinical nutritionist dealing with different conditions. Autism is one of them, and I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome.
Asante.
So as we start the session, maybe you can tell us the connection, the major connection between our autism and diet, because I know that's the biggest question that is out there.
Yes, it is a question that we get to interact with a lot because there are people who want to know, does nutrition or what you eat basically, could it lead to autism? That's just one of the myths. No, nutrition cannot cause, neither can it cure autism. However, we have seen instances where an improved diet leads to a better quality of life for persons or individuals who have autism.
Okay.
And it can also impact on the negative side where we have restrictive diets that can also lead to nutritional deficiencies. Yeah, so it works both ways.
Both ways, yeah. So what are some of the nutritional related challenges that you can see these individuals with autism dealing with?
Basically, we have one of the characteristics of autism. We see instances where individuals who have autism are very sensitive because mostly it presents in having a problem with sensory. So there are those who are on very restrictive diets by themselves, not that they have been put on that, because they are not able to eat what they are not comfortable with.
Yeah.
So you see, there are those who will avoid anything. They do not want to drink anything. They don't want anything with a strong smell. There are those who stay away from vegetables because of the color, of the texture. So we end up with either nutrition deficiencies. We can also end up with severe malnutrition because of it. Yeah.
So they're really choosy, what they want to eat.
Yeah, it's what they can actually accommodate. Most of these things that they refuse to partake in are triggers.
So it's not their fault.
No, it is not intentional.
Okay. Can you maybe give us a small instance where maybe a relatable example?
We've seen examples of children who will only, for example, I have experienced a child who was only comfortable with white rice because they only wanted to eat white things and they did not want textures that were too soft. So you see, they don't want to garlic. So they only want white rice, and they could not even drink water. So it was really difficult for the parents.
Wow, I can imagine.
Yes.
Not wanting to drink water, just rice.
Just rice.
I can imagine. So for such a child, what is the way forward for such a child? Because I know maybe another parent out there is struggling with the same situation.
True. So what we normally do, or what I recommend, is you have to work with other therapists also, with occupational therapy. But when it comes to the food, you have to be patient. You cannot just introduce a new food all at once. So the first steps usually is you do the exposure method, where you expose this child to this other food that you would want them to try without the pressure of trying it. And you have to practice patience, because studies have shown that for a food to be accepted, it might take 10 to 20 exposures.
Wow,
Yes.
that's a lot. How important is gut health when we're talking about autism?
Let me just take you back a little bit. Even for us people who don't have autism, gut health is very important, because gut health is linked to brain health. You've heard the phrase "you're what you eat," because it influences your overall health, from your brain health to the rest of your body. So what happens with individuals with autism is there are few studies and research that suggest that they have more gut microbia than the rest of us. So it is best to actually take out foods that will trigger issues with GI, but introduce probiotic or prebiotic foods that will either feed the good bacteria in the gut and also promote the health of the good bacteria. So it is important, because you see, when you're healthy in the gut, your brain health is also good. It's optimal. And with autistic individuals, it is a neurodevelopmental condition, meaning it is completely in the brain. So that is why gut health is very important and should be considered as number one when we are doing any intervention with diet.
Okay. Yes. You've mentioned a lot of words. And I was like, huh? Out here, we hear a lot about, mtoto wangu ameambiwa asikule ngano, sukari. So what can you say about that in terms of now diet professionally?
We have different types of diets that we recommend or we employ when we are trying to manage autism, how it manifests actually, because you cannot cure it, since it's not a disease anyway. You cannot say you can cure it. It's to manage and also to make this person's life better, of better quality. So we have a diet where we withdraw gluten and casein. Gluten is the protein that is found in wheat, and casein is a milk protein that is found in cow, goat, and sheep milk.
They are both proteins.
Yes, they are both proteins.
Okay.
So that is why we take them out, because there have been studies that show that they are linked to triggering especially hyperactivity and mood changes in individuals who have autism.
Come to think of it, I think I've ever had an encounter of a child. I was doing shadow teaching before I became an assessor, and my child, once he took a cake, he started crying all of a sudden. I knew he was nonverbal, so I could not really tell what is going on. So now going back, I think I can relate that now to whatever he ate.
There are those even who, they don't even become hyperactive, they don't become aggressive, but if that child eats maybe something that has gluten or has casein, they don't sleep. They talk, they self-talking throughout the night, and they don't sleep at all. So it manifests in very different ways. Interestingly enough, there are those who will eat gluten and casein and they do not present these symptoms. So it's actually a very complex way that it manifests. You have to be really keen, and that the most thing that I repeat so many times to parents is that no child is like the other. So you have to monitor. If you want to eliminate something, eliminate one at a time and see the effect. If the effect is not there, you can just take it back. Yes.
And are there like common effects of diet?
Well, yes, they are there. Before we mentioned the issue about gut.
Yeah.
There are those foods that you take out and the gut health improves. Mostly it's the simple carbohydrates. That is where we take out sugar. As much as sugar contributes to hyperactivity, it is directly related to better gut health if we take it out. This is the normal table sugar and also the sugar in simple carbohydrates. Yes, so we limit. There are those who need it to be taken out completely, but there are those who you can just limit, and if you take out sugar, they are okay.
They're okay.
Yes.
So it's like how you're explaining it. I'm looking at it as how you can get an allergy to something, then you withdraw it.
Yes.
So it's the same way you can also treat the food. Okay, interesting. And so when we are talking about the supplements now, because I get a lot of parents telling me, is this supplement safe for my child? Should I give my child this? I heard about a supplement somewhere, and mostly I think it's good that you mentioned that it's not a cure. It doesn't have a cure, because some say I'm looking for a pill to cure.
Yes.
Yeah. So what can you say about supplements generally?
With the supplements, the most important thing I would want to first point out is that it should be done by a trained professional, the recommendation. Don't just decide because you heard, if my child takes a multivitamin, this is going to improve. It is good to get assessed medically and also talk to a trained nutritionist or dietitian who will then recommend this for you. Because we have like omega-3s are very good for brain health. So if you fix your gut, if you fix the person's gut and they take omega-3, you will definitely see improvement in brain function. We also have a characteristic that happens with autistic individuals where they have disturbances in their sleep. So for those that manifest that, we prescribe supplements that have magnesium because it helps them improve the sleep and also to calm them down. We also get autistic individuals who end up with iron and zinc deficiencies because of restrictions with food. As we had said, we have sensitivities when it comes to food. So there are those who will not touch a certain food, and you notice that this class of food that they don't want is where they can get the zinc and the iron from. So for that, we have to supplement. However, we first try interventions with food that are rich in these nutrients if we are met with resistance completely, because it is also important and very, very, very important to respect the food sensitivities. Because when you try to force it, the person will not accept it. So if it gets there, then we can do the supplements. But let them be professionally prescribed.
Okay.
Yes.
So the supplements do help.
They do help.
And they're important.
Yes, they are.
Okay. And are there risks and effects to these supplements?
Too much of anything is poisonous, they always say. Yeah. So even the ones we prescribe, we will prescribe for a certain period of time and then do a test again to see if this nutrient in the body, this particular nutrient, has it gone back to the level that it should be. Then we can stop the supplement. We do not recommend a situation where now they don't eat at all, they depend on the supplement. Yes.
And to the parents out there, what can you tell them? Because you hear them saying, they go to Google actually, and they are like, oh, I've seen this supplement, it helped this child.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get that for my child. So without professional advice, are there risks?
Yes, there are risks. There are a lot of risks actually in self-prescription of anything, not just for individuals with autism. It's for everyone. You see, they might go to Google and read and see, if I supplement calcium, it's going to help my child do this and this. Then they just go over the counter and get that supplement. And in this instance, since it was not tested, maybe this child does not even have a deficiency in calcium. It's a vitamin D deficiency that is presenting as a calcium deficiency. And then you supplement, and they already have normal levels. So you end up with overcalcification. You can see even bones becoming brittle. If a child falls, they can get a fracture that will take time to heal. Because now you have too much of this and too little of this, and you fixed the wrong thing. So it is always good to go and get a test done to determine what is it that would need supplementation. Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you need to plan for an individual child. Okay. So from what I'm getting from that is also that just because it worked for your child, it's not necessarily that it will work for mine.
Yes.
So I think that is also an important note. And so now we have the child. You have made a plan for this child. Let's now go to the food part.
Okay.
You have made a nutritional plan for this child for them to get the required nutrients. So as a parent, how am I supposed to introduce that food to my child?
We have there are several steps or recommendations when you, as a parent, would want to introduce a new food to a child. First, the first thing is to involve this child. Let's say you want them to start eating more vegetables. It is good to involve them in the preparation of the vegetable, including even shopping for it. And do not put the pressure off. If we buy it, we prepare it, we must eat it.
They understand, even if you're undergoing the process of
buying.
Yeah.
As a parent, don't make it seem like you're buying it so that we eat it. We have to all eat it. So you can go shopping together, you can prepare. If after preparing, your child or the individual who has autism decides they don't want to eat it, let it be no pressure. It ends there. The next thing we recommend is exposure therapy. You want them to start eating cabbage. Let the cabbage be there.
Just
at the dinner table.
Side.
Yes. So that it becomes common. They keep seeing it. Yeah. Because it can take up to 20 times of you exposing this person or this child to this particular food for them to even feel they would want to be interested in touching it. Yeah. So the most important thing is patience here. Yeah. Don't force it. The other thing a parent can do would be to introduce a new food that is similar to a food that is safe, a food that your child accepts, a food that the individual is already comfortable with. Let them choose between, if your child is comfortable with crunchy foods, let's say they eat carrots, and you want them to start eating something like celery, let them make the choice. Let it be upon your child, this or this one. Yeah. If they are still comfortable with the carrot, they go with the carrot. So you will make sure the celery is available, and you're also eating it without pressuring them to eat it. And with time, the interest will grow, and they might want to try it. Yes.
Now this is encouraging them now to eat the food.
Yes, to introduce something else. Because you see, you cannot have forever be eating rice with the legumes and maybe cabbage. You would want to vary their diet.
Yeah,
so you introduce something that is similar to the foods that are already accepted, step by step. Yeah.
Because I get a lot of parents and they are crying and they're like, I have tried, it's not working. So they still end up going back to the rice or if it's fries. So now talking about withdrawal. A child has autism, and they also have the characteristics of being very, very hyper. So you've mentioned that you advise in the regulation of now sugary foods and a lot of carbs. So how am I supposed to withdraw this food from my child?
When it comes to gluten, one characteristic actually of individuals with autism is they have a high affinity for high carb foods and sugar. So when it comes to sugar, let's say the child takes porridge with sugar, you reduce the amount pole until you get to 0 sugar. Then with gluten, with wheat, it is best to just withdraw it completely.
Mm.
The good thing is that today in the market, we have the option of going gluten-free. So you can use gluten-free bread if your child only wants to eat bread in the morning. As you try to introduce other things, you can also make the bread with other flours and you will have a slice of the bread that has gluten that they like and maybe 2 slices of the gluten-free. So that...
Or you mix them. But
yes,
I think they tell the difference.
they can. That is why exposure and the patience comes in, because you have to do it gradually. So the best thing is when you're introducing a new food, is you introduce a new food that is similar in whatever sensitivity your child has. If it is texture, you get a food that is close in texture with what your child or the individual considers as safe food. Yes. So it can be either the texture, the color, or the smell. Yes.
Okay. So it's related.
Yes.
And another thing that is out there, maybe you can elaborate for us. They say that, can you, like, when you're intervening for this learner with autism, can diet by itself work, or you need to involve other intervention measures like therapy?
It cannot work on its own, because you see, there are those who are very restrictive with the foods that they can accommodate. So here you will have to include a therapist, an occupational therapist, and even a speech therapist, because for some of them, it's about how the food feels in the mouth. Yes. So you have to work together. It cannot be diet alone. Yes.
In regards to all that, what are some of the myths that are out there now related to now nutrition, diet, and autism?
I think the biggest one that I would point out is that autism is a disease. Autism is not a disease. It's a neurodevelopmental condition. And also, we cannot say that there is a pill or a diet that can cure it. You see, a child who is on a diet that provides the nutrition that they need, and they are dealing with autism, and they are calmer, is not a child who we will call less autistic.
Yeah.
It is just a child or an individual who has autism, who is living a better life and a calmer life.
True.
Yeah. That is what I would say would be the biggest one.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yes.
So, any other myth that you like to point out?
I think it's I would say basically it's about everything ties back to that autism is a disease, and there is something that you can do to cure it completely. But what I would want to tell parents or people who care for individuals with autism is that there are interventions in diet and in therapy that help these individuals live a very good quality of life, and they be able to do what we consider normal. Yes, they can go to school, they can learn to speak and express themselves and be able to say what it is they want, which greatly improves their social life.
So it plays a big role in
Yes,
speech.
Yes, it
Because I think that is also something a lot of parents are struggling with. Yes. Yeah, so as we come to an end of our session, which I wouldn't love for it to end, because I'm learning a lot as well. And you've talked about diet, even things that I was like, I didn't think it can happen, or they are related. So maybe you can give our parents your final words.
For caregivers and parents with children and individuals who have autism, I would want to encourage them, and I would want to encourage you and tell you, you're not alone. There are communities everywhere. You're not doing it by yourself. And if you need help, there are very many avenues that you can get the help. We also have government facilities like KISE, where you can go and get assistance. The other thing is, be kind to yourself. Even the smallest progress is still progress. And patience. Most of these interventions that we recommend you do will take a long time. So be patient, be persistent, be respectful also if it is met with resistance. And love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
A very good quality. Yeah, so thank you for being with us until the end of the session. Gladys, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is a really important topic that we needed to get out there. And thank you for finding time and gracing us with your presence.
Thank you
So,
for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So until next time, bye bye.